Hello YouTube, Mac Uni Squad here, and today I'm going to do something much more different. This will be the very first RTVR, also known as Reality TV Reviews. Yes, that's right. I'm going to review popular reality shows such as MasterChef. And this will be the review of the first 26 episodes of MasterChef Australia's very first season. Also, the very first international adaptation outside of the UK. So, I've actually written blog posts on my blog, and you can go check them out if you don't want to hear me, rambling about all these little details about the show. And I'm only going to give brief details of each episode, so it's best to read up the written version. Later on, I'll do a showcase on YouTube about what my blog looks like, and also highlight the YouTube channel, which is MasterChef World, as they have a playlist of all the episodes they have so far. Then, I'll actually discuss what's good, what's not so good, and what's bad about these episodes. And then, I'll even give an update on how the contestants are doing as of episode 26, as well as all the contestants who have been sent home so far. Without further ado, let's begin. So here's my blog called Mechatronics Unibase. And if you look at the URL, yes, this is the URL you need to access all my blog posts. As I've mentioned before, I've actually done some written reviews up here. So you can always help to post some comments to give me feedback on how I can improve my writing. And this is the YouTube channel, MasterChef World. Here's the playlist for MasterChef Australia Season 1. Unfortunately, episode 27 is not up, and I know they've uploaded episode 28, but it's not in this playlist. I know my country in Singapore, it's probably blocked, so if anyone out there in the UK can see this, please help me watch episode 27 for me and send me some details over, because from what I know, this is a British YouTube channel. Starting off the first 3 episodes, obviously it's the auditions, with the judges Gary Mahigan, George Calumbaris, and Matt Preston. The host is Sarah Wilson, but she only stayed for 1 season, which is this season. So, it has taken place in 5 cities, being Sydney, Adelaide, Brisbane, Perth, and Melbourne. So, after auditions were over, there's the onion chopping challenge. The only thing I can say is that with this sort of challenge, there's bound to be a lot of injuries. Continuing on from the previous episode, the bottom 12 from the chopping onion challenge actually went into elimination, and one of those 12, being Gerard, actually had to make a difficult decision, which resulted in him leaving the competition for good. Afterwards, we get the very first taste test involving a bolognese made by none other than George himself. But then, one person will have a meltdown, but at least they do make it through by the skin of their teeth. For the 5th episode, I decided to do something a bit more different. I'm going to show you where the challenge actually took place at, which is the Sydney Fish Market. Okay, it's only for contestants to buy their ingredients there since it's a seafood team challenge. I mean, they only had 2 hours to make a 2-course meal. Only that some people actually took so long that they had less than an hour to cook with. So, supposedly there were supposed to be 5 contestants to be sent home in this episode. But then they only sent home 3. Because they couldn't actually decide between 3 other contestants. Therefore, the judges decided to give them another chance. Now, on to episode 6. The remaining contestants will take part in a mystery box challenge where they have to use at least one of the ingredients to make a good dish. But then, there are some tensions because one arrogant chef actually said something that was kind of insensitive, and it actually made the judges question whether he should actually be in the top 20, because eventually, we will get our top 20. On to episode 7, where the first invention test will take place, featuring chicken. So, while the person who wins the challenge actually will go into a celebrity chef challenge, the bottom 2 on the other hand faces an embarrassing punishment, which is basically cleaning up everything else. Okay, now before I go on, I actually won't cover much on the celebrity chef challenges or the masterclasses because I'm actually going to cover them later on when I actually do the part on what's good, what's not so good, and what's bad. Episode 9 takes place at the Ivy Sydney bar, where the contestants have to work in teams to actually make sushi at this restaurant called Sushi Chu. Now, unfortunately, the restaurant is already closed, but from what I can tell, the challenge did garner a bit of controversy because one of the contestants, Tom, accidentally took the blue team's beef if you actually watch the episode carefully. So there was kind of a bit of saga right there. So the win was debatable. I've decided to cover 3 episodes in one go, 10, 16, and 22. This is because all 3 episodes are the team voting episodes, where the losing team goes into elimination by voting off one of their teammates. And yes, it can be both emotional and strategic at the same time. That's the safest things I can say about these. On to the next week. In episode 12, one contestant, Nick, decided to quit the competition to go back to his family. Afterwards, we have the Mystery Box Challenge, which the winner actually gets an advantage for the invention test, which the team is Italian. So, the winner, Chris, actually got to pick rabbit as a core ingredient, and as a result, you can probably guess, the contestant who actually won this invention test actually did to win for his friend. Now, on to episode 13, where the first project test will take place. The bottom 3 of the previous invention test goes into this challenge, where they will have to make a tarte tatin, a French apple tart. So, the 2 contestants with the least experience actually went into this challenge, and for one of them, it actually meant their downfall. Episode 15 takes place at the Vaucluse Yacht Club, where the teams actually have to prepare a banquet for Curtis Stone. So, what can I say about this episode? Well, both teams' performances were relatively mixed at best, and on top of that, one person decided to actually make a decision that was pretty risky and somewhat unnecessary. On to episode 18, where the team of the Mystery Box Challenge was desserts. The Mystery Box winner, Cole, actually had an advantage in this challenge, which is the invention test, because of her background. The team of the invention test was Chinese, and she made the most out of her advantage. On the other hand, 2 frontrunners actually sunk hard this time, and hopefully they could recover in the next challenge. So, on to episode 19, where the bottom 3 of the invention test have to make stuffed squid. The only thing I can say about this episode is the end result. It's not that great because it ended up being quite ugly for 2 contestants mainly. Now on to episode 21, and this team challenge is quite a landslide. So, both teams actually have to serve 3 food critics, including Matt Preston himself. While the blue team actually did really well, the red team's performance was an utter disaster, with their worst mistake being raw chicken, which can pretty much kill someone. Yes, episode 24, the very first time the Mystery Box curse will ever take place. The Mystery Box winner Tom actually squandered his advantage in this French-themed invention test, and of course he actually ended up in the bottom 3. But that's not just the only disaster that night, as someone else actually did have quite a meltdown after getting another bad review for their dish. And last but not least, episode 25, the most successful project test as of now. All 3 contestants actually performed very well that night, resulting in no one being sent home. While for some, there are really good emotions, for others, not so much, as there is a bit of bitterness when you realize that no one got sent home. To start off with what's good about this show, I'll talk about the auditions. To actually get a top 50 spot, a contestant must get at least 2 yeses from the judges, where they will have to make their signature dishes to impress them. I actually really like this because we actually get to see more of the contestants' personalities or cooking styles, and then we actually also get to know how they can perform under pressure. So, the top 50 is actually meant for a start for the top 20, which the judges will eventually make all decisions on. It's just a shame they actually didn't do this for the next 3 seasons. Another good thing about this show are the Mystery Box challenges, where there's actually a limited amount of ingredients for contestants to use, and they actually have to highlight at least one of those ingredients to make a good dish, along with some underbench staples. This actually tests contestants to actually work out their comfort zones and actually come up with dishes that they probably wouldn't have come up before. Continuing on from the previous challenge, there comes the invention test. So, after the top 3 or 5 of the Mystery Box challenge have been selected, the winner will be picked by the judges, and that winner will get to go into the pantry to choose the core ingredient for the invention test. There's often a central theme, such as cuisine, and of those 3 core ingredients, not only does the winner get the pick, he or she will also get to have additional time in the pantry. However, sometimes the Mystery Box curse can happen, which is when the Mystery Box winner actually falls into the bottom 3 of an invention test. Now, moving on to team challenges. Another great element of this show. It actually tests contestants to see if they can work well with other people of different backgrounds. So, typically during team challenges, you have 2 teams, red and blue. If the invention test winner doesn't actually win the Celebrity Chef Challenge, they'll actually become one of the team captains, and they also get to pick the opposing team captain as well, and also choose which color they actually want to be. So I'll get more into that later on because some parts of team challenges weren't that great in the original seasons. So, it's pretty simple how these challenges work out. You either raise enough money, cater to certain guests, or make certain dishes for the judges for them to taste, and they will decide who's made the best dishes. To end all the good stuff on a good note, we talk about the masterclasses. I absolutely love masterclasses because the judges, Gary and George, actually do teach the contestants how to cook certain dishes, and it's usually based on what actually happened in the week. For example, the mystery box challenges, invention tests, and the team challenges. So then, time to move on to the not so good parts of this show. So, the first season's way of handling the top 20 wasn't that great, as all the contestants would actually have to go up to the judges and face them, and then they will give their verdict on whether they move on to the top 20 or not. Maybe it should be more of the contestants' performances would actually decide who goes in and who doesn't, because if that mystery box challenge in episode 6 was the factor of who goes in the top 20, this entire season could have turned out much more different. While I have praised team challenges before, there are some things that aren't too great about them. First and foremost, it has to do with team picking. Now, in the old seasons, there are usually only two teams, red and blue. So, obviously the contestants have to divide themselves among teams by picking. So, if the person who wins the invention test fails to beat the celebrity chef, they will actually get a consolation prize of being team captain and also getting first pick, along with choosing the other team's captain. Well, I'm actually okay with them choosing the other team's captain because it actually provides some strategy or also gives some team dynamics. The team picking eventually doesn't end up too well because if you end up its last pick, yeah, it's not the best feeling out there. So, moving on, we also have to talk about the debriefs that they did in the first 3 seasons. I'll just cover on behalf of them because it's pretty common throughout the classic seasons. So, the problem with these debriefs is that while it is important for the teams to actually learn where they actually went wrong, there could be some blaming involved because the judges would actually ask questions about who didn't perform as well or what could have been done better. But even then, team challenges are still pretty well done. Now, when the team loses a team challenge, they will actually go into this kind of elimination called voting. Now, there are some problems, with the main issues being that there may be contestants who may use this as an opportunity to take out their competition rather than the people who actually let the team down. On top of that, voting can end up being rather one-sided, especially if it's pretty obvious who actually was the main cause of the team's defeat. Another side note, the winning team actually goes for a reward, where they actually get to go have lunch at a restaurant and also go to the kitchen to have some experience. Problem is, they actually won't get to know who gets sent home until they wait back at the house, because only the people on the losing team actually get to see who gets eliminated. There's one major glaring flaw with this season so far, and that has to do with the celebrity chef challenges. While it's nice that the invention test winners actually get this reward where they have this opportunity to compete against a celebrity chef to cook one of their signature dishes, and if they beat them, they can actually go directly to the finale, there is a major problem here, because eventually, the 2 contestants who actually did win this opportunity ended up struggling later on in finals week. I know it's a bit early for me to talk about this, but we'll just mention this because I've got a lot to say once we get to that point. For the very last part of this video, I'm going to give an update on how the contestants are doing as of episode 26. So, I'll start with all the people who've been eliminated so far. So, here's Melissa, who's the first book of the season. Now, wasn't right because if you watch the season, you probably know it wasn't that great for her. Then we get on to Nick, who actually quit in 19th place. I'm not sure how far he would have went if he actually stayed, but then again, we'll never know. Then we get to Linda, who's one of the younger contestants of the season. Then again, also limited by this quality, so I have no idea how far she would have went. Then we get on to Brent, and Wow, it's almost 20 minutes and it's just my first video review. Well, I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. And once again, please help send episode 27 to me so that I can watch it, write a blog post, and actually eventually make my next few videos. So, thank you for watching. I'll see you next time.